Okay, we're going to start coding the Flyweight design pattern, and the idea here is that we're going to have a number of student objects, and rather than having multiple student objects, we're just going to actually have one, which can be configured on the fly. So you're presumably teaching a class of students, and you want to keep track of how they're doing, and when you create the student object, we're going to let you pass to the constructor the average score for the class. This is like a test, for example, at an average score, so you're able to pass that to the student constructor for reference. So you say student, the constructor creates a new student object and has a place for storing the average score like this. You're able to store the average score for the whole class in each student's object. Okay, now you want to be able to configure this student object rather than having to create a new one every time. You need a new student, so let's add methods like setName, setID, and setScore. So you set the name of the student, the ID of the student, and the score of the student on their most recent test. And that information is stored here as well. The name, ID, and score, as well as the average score for the entire class, is stored in the student object. So this is our lightweight object. In addition, besides setting the information for each student, that is configuring the lightweight object for each student, you should be also able to recover that information. So you have a getName method, a getID method, a getScore method, and those just return the name, the ID, and the score of the student. And you should also be able to determine the student's standing with regards to the entire class. This way, you have a method called getStanding, which returns the rank of the student. It's calculated this way: their score divided by the average score multiplied by 100 gives a percentile in which they are in the class standing. So that is the lightweight object, the student object. As you can see, we have a public class named student. You pass the average score to the student constructor. You can set the student's name. You can configure this lightweight object on the fly by calling the setName method, the setID method, the setScore method. Then you can also get the student's name, get their ID, and get their score as well. And you can also get their standing, their relative standing in the class with the getStanding method like this. So that's our Flyweight object, and you can all you need to really do is create one such object, and you can configure it on a student-by-student basis, as we're going to see coming up next when we put this Flyweight example code to work, creating a class full of students when in fact we'll only have one student object and configure it on the fly as we need it. That's the basis of the Flyweight design pattern. So that's coming up next using the student Flyweight design pattern.